Guitkit people, peace be with you, man. Hey, man, I want to dedicate this episode, a special episode, man, to that guy on the edge of town, man. You know what I'm talking about? The weird guy rides around with a girl's bicycle, man. I want to liberate you from the stigma, right? Of people laughing at you because, you know what I mean, you're the weirdo on the girl's bike, man. You know what I mean? I just want people to think of you as a weirdo because you're a fucking weirdo. Not because you use a girl's bike, man. So that's what I'm here to do. You know what I mean? Piece by piece, we're going to break down that wall, man. Now, I've done 15, episodes of, the Guitkit video journal thing. And I've done 10 episodes of Guitkit's Guits. Now, the video journal is like any kind of, video of me actually doing work to a guitar. And the Guitkit Guits, me just talking about a guitar I have, boring you to tears, lecturing you about the detailed history of an instrument, man. So, just because, I'm going to do a little bit of work with this guitar, we're talking about right here. It's got a little high action, we're going to, shore that up a little bit. So, this actually falls under the video journal, but don't worry, man, I'm going to bore you to tears, man. So, keep the faith, man. Keep the faith. Now, this particular story starts like many of my Guitkit tales. Early morning in the flea market a couple years back, right? Every one of them starts the same way, man. You know what I mean? I ain't got much to do in the early morning. So, went down to the flea market. Man, I saw this guitar, man. I was like, wow, it's a gorgeous guitar. I like that guitar, man. I like it, man. $40. $50, man. $45. $50, man. 47. Get the fuck out of here. Give me $50 or just leave me alone. Okay. I brought it home. It was a real heavy guitar, man. I loved it. I was really attracted to these, you know what I mean, short teeth, this rosette, man. I really dug that. It immediately caught my eye and sort of remind me of the great Salvador Ibanez. Now, this is, really nothing to do with, Ibanez, the Gaki, the Japanese Ibanez. Although he was, in name only the inspiration. He was a Spanish luthier in the Victorian times, building guitars. Like the 1890s was his peak, man, out of Valencia, Spain. And this sort of decorative rosette, man, was his, man. You had them all over the guitar, but really around the rosette, these little triangular, pearloid inlays of shell and pearloid, substances, man. And that was pretty much exclusive to the Spanish world. And all around Spanish-speaking world, all the guitar makers sort of embraced it, man. In the San Bartolo region in Ecuador, we're talking about in the last video, some of the finer guitars have that shark teeth thing. The first instance I actually saw of it was down in, I believe, Argentina. In Buenos Aires, there was a place called, I want to get the name, Diego and Gracia, I think it was. In the 20s, they started doing, on their production models. This is, let's talk about factories, little shark teeth. This particular guitar was made in Brazil by a company called Giannini in Brazil, right? And the label's kind of ripped off. I don't know if you can see in there, label kind of fucking ripped off. I'll show you later, man. Trust me, man. Label's ripped off. I didn't really know what guitar it was, man. I just knew what brand it was. Now, Giannini, luckily, crossed paths cosmically with the great Jimmy Page, and sort of changed the course of the history of Giannini. Not much for Jimmy Page, man. He could have played air guitar. People still love him. But listen to me, man. That little tiny minute with Jimmy Page changed Giannini's fortunes forever, man. And that's probably one of the reasons they're still there. They're in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They started using this rosette probably around 1958, 59. That's when you start seeing that on their guitars. Doing a lot of research, on this particular model for this. I found out it was a Turuna number 4. And we'll go into all the catalogs. I got all kinds of catalogs to show you. Special specifics. This, in my opinion, shark's teeth era of this particular guitar had the most beautiful inlay work, decorative bindings and stuff. And it's also the biggest example of the Turuna model, man. So, the reason I want to sort of, get exceptionally petty with you during this episode is I want to sort of break down a couple terms and terminology, nomenclature for the guitar. And a lot of people, when I was doing research on this particular guitar, both when I first got it and just now, when I'm trying to get this video together, I saw different sellers from different eras, different continents, describing this guitar as a 3/4 scale guitar. three different sellers. You know what I mean? Like 5 years ago and today. And it frustrates me, man, because 3/4 scale guitar doesn't exist, man. A 3/4 size guitar is like a term used for like a travel guitar, child guitar. But scale is like a scientific, you know what I mean, mathematically based system. You know what I mean? The size of like the space between the bridge and the nut, man. You know what I mean? How the frets are laid out, where they're laid out, man. There's no 3/4. Like if scale is 25 inches, that's like a full scale guitar. Then like 19 inches would be a 3/4 scale guitar. That's a little tiny. This guitar right here is about a 19-inch scale guitar. This little tiny guy. Look at that compared to this, man. You know what I mean? It's like a little tiny tinky toy, man. Tinky toy. So I wanna get you straight on the nomenclature tip, people, because I mean a lot of people out there like, this guy already know this, man. Skip the episode, man. But for you armchair people, amateurs like me, you know what I mean? Don't look foolish when you're talking to somebody about something you don't know about. You know what I mean? You have to Google it afterwards. Just watch this episode. You might know it already next time you're having a conversation with somebody who might be a little bit more knowledgeable than you. Also, I want to point out, cheerfully point out to you, this heavy, densely built guitar, man, beautiful guitar, is actually the most southern latitudinally built guitar that since we've been friends that we're going to talk about. This guitar was built way down under, man. Good day and good eye. Let me flip you around and show you what I mean about being down south, man.
Alright, so here's Sao Paulo right here. See it? Right on the Tropic of Capricorn, man. It's definitely the most southernmost guitar. The second one, of course, would be the one that we did right from the equator. Right? From Manta. That's like right on the equator. But everything else really pretty much is generally within these two lines of latitude, man. You can see it goes all the way across the world, these lines of latitude, man, into China. So pretty much everything that we've done is up here. But this is the most southern one we've done so far together as friends, right here in Sao Paulo. Right on the Tropic of Capricorn. That goes through Africa. Right, and it goes through our friends in Australia over there. All our friends down under. This guitar's for you. So here we go, folks. This is it, man. Now, like I was saying, it's got some real high action. And that's because I think they put the bridge on there. And at the time they put the bridge on there, it had like a real high neck. And there was like a, you know what I mean, extremely straight. And it needed to sort of clear those top frets. But now it's got like a serious 4-bow going on. Now, I'm a cowboy chord kind of guy. I mean, that can't be denied. So, I mean, it plays nice in the cowboy chord positions. But, I mean, up here, it's got some serious high action. So, we're going to try to correct that here. Give you a little background on this crossover sort of experience of ours. Now, when I first got this guitar, I looked at the label. It really gave me no clues. You know what I mean? The serial number's ripped off. The model's ripped off. I was thinking the 50s, you know what I mean? The styling of the label. I looked at a lot of stuff on the internet for Giannini. You know, that's when I found out the Jimmy Page connection, which we'll get to. But I saw that S1 there. The red stamp says S1. I was like, what the hell is that? So we'll get to all that in a little bit now. And, you know, we're going to, like I said, a couple birds with a couple stones here. So let's take a look here. I got some stuff on the computer. And let's get into this saga. I'm going to put you on pause real quick.
Listen up, my class. My name is Tranquillo Giannini. I was born in the old country, Italy. I made my first guitar when I was a very small boy. In the year 1900, I was a young man at 25 years old. I come deep into the rainforest to Sao Paulo, Brazil, to set up my own workshop. And within 10 years, I have the biggest factory in South America. Who's little man now, man? Talk to Giannini. Talk to me straight.
I can't say nothing other than that, man. My man came, he set up shop. You know what I mean? He had all kinds of skills. You know what I mean? That he gathered in Italy, how to build guitars. He knew what he was doing. He started like a guitar body, like numbering system, kind of like Martin had, man. Like a zero body, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my guitar, we're talking about here, you know, I mean, from my research, is Tamaño Grande Turuna numero 4. Now, what's a Turuna? You know, what's he calling Turuna? And this is one of the first lines that he came out with, right when he got over there, set up shop, before he was a bigger time.
You know what I mean? Turuna in Portuguese. That means brave, fearless, courageous. You know what I'm saying? It means, you know what I'm saying? As a noun, it can mean like a bully even. You know, just fearless. You know what I'm saying? Now these are being marketed propios para señoritas y menores. For young ladies and children. Right? So that's pretty forward thinking. Dream big, princess. You know, Giannini, you get my Gloria Steinem Award for the day, man. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty forward thinking, like 1900. You know what I mean? It was set up a guitar line just for girls. And it was a popular line, too, man. So, let me zoom in a little bit, man, so I get you on these details, man. I had the courtesy going here now, man. A little bit too big, man. A little bit too big, man. Getting a little bit too pretentious here. Too pretentious. I'm talking to you like I know you. So essentially, he had the measurements pretty much from the get go. Now, the width, it went from like a real skinny guitar to like a real fat guitar. You know, probably from like 6 centimeters. The end of the run like 9.6. Mine's 9.6. The length, across here, across the lower bout, always 36 centimeters. Always around between 95 and 97 centimeters length. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is, man. Tamaño grande. He's talking about some pearloid in there. And it's varnished, you know what I mean, with a clear finish is what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? There's some nice, beautiful scroll work on that headstock. This is from the 1950 catalog. That's the oldest catalog that I could find online, man. Giannini keeps all their catalogs, but they didn't make many catalogs, so you know what I mean. We just gotta be happy with what we got. This is from the 1954, 1954. This is their catalog from that year. Let me zoom in on that, man. You know what I mean? While I'm right over here, let's keep on talking. I can zoom in, and we can make life a lot easier for both of us. Now you can take a look here, man. Take a look at that beautiful scroll work on that headstock up there, man. So let me zoom in a little further, man. I want you to get the full, you know what I'm saying, the full pleasure, man. Alive with pleasure, this guitar, man. Come a long way, baby. You see that? Oh, you know what I mean? You can speak up if you can't see, man. Say, hey, look, Baba G, man, I can't see. You know, see the scroll work? And it's just such a great looking guitar. Now, let's take a look here at what number 4 says in 1954. 1954. Let's see here. Get here. Why is it moving, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm not the greatest, computer kind of guy, man. So here we go, man. You see, it's pretty much saying the same old thing as the last one, only it's in color. But let me point out to you, man, that this beautiful surround as the 50s sort of gets bigger and bigger, man. More and more elaborate. Now, he doesn't have no shark's teeth yet in 1954. Take a look at that. But you can see the side is a steel of rosewood from a deep in the rainforest. And it was covered over with that paint, man. There was some kind of reaction with the grease, rosewood oil coming out there. And the lacquer, man. You know what I mean? Turn most of them green, man. Turn them green, man. So here's the number 4. See, it's already up to 9 centimeters. 1954. No shark's teeth yet, folks. Moving on up, man. 1960, man. 1960. We shall go to the moon. We will go to the moon. So you see, they're still marketing toward the girls, man. Candy girl. Look at the flowers and stuff, man. Let's take a good look here, man. And take a good look to see exactly where we're at, man. Numero 4. Numero 4. There it is right there. What a gorgeous guitar, man. What a nice instrument, man. And you can see it's already got them shark's teeth, man. By 1960, here come the shark's teeth, man. So the shark's teeth, we can date them now. They're between 1954 and 1960. So this is the 1960 catalog. Already shark's teeth. And you see, the other cool thing is they were making all kinds of ethnic guitars. See, look, they had like a 12-string violeo. Right? They had a 9-string violeo. But I'm still at that number 4 down there, man. You know what I'm saying? Still all the same old, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about it, but it's got the shark's teeth. It's got the perfing around it already by 1960. You know what I'm saying, man? A little beautiful little perfing work, man. So let's keep on moving along, man. making good time. This is the last catalog that you will see. This Giannini Turuna numero 4. You know what I mean? This is from the 1969 catalog. Now, you can see that it's already grown to its, you know what I'm saying, its final destination in thickness. But everything else is pretty much still constant, man. You see that dark rosa wood. You see the real dark rosa wood inlay with the pearl shell. Looks beautiful. It looks very nice. So 1969 is the last catalog that we actually see on Turana. Now by the end of the run, man, my man, let me show you what my man, what in Tranquillo's mind, man. What's going on? He's recommending this by 1969, he's just recommended it for girls, senoras, y senoritas, little girls. So he's forgot all about the children, man. This is all about the women now, man. We talk to you about the women with this guitar. So that's it, man, for the 1969 particular guitar. So the Turuna, to review, man, was one of his first guitars. Started probably around 1900, 1905. That series, it was a 1-body and a 4-body. Marketed for girls, man. How else can we identify it if we don't know what catalog specifics? Let's talk about something, you know what I mean, called a label, man. Guitar label, man, very helpful. If your guitar has it, you're in luck, man. This looks like the Dead Sea Scrolls, but this is like the remains of one of the first big boy labels that my man Tranquillo got. He might have some homemade, paper shit, before that, and like written, "This is my first guitar, Tranquillo, love you very much." But this is the first one he had printed, man. It's in black ink. You know what I mean? He's talking about, he's got a little factory. You can't really see this, man. So let me give you like a little bit of an example of what a guitar. This is a Turuna from probably around 1910. One of the first labeled guitars, man. See, he has a Turuna number 1, man. And see, I'm talking like an old school guitar. My man was educated by like Copernicus, bro. He's old school, man. Look at that, man. He's got the friction pegs on the headstock of that Turuna 1, man. You're crazy, man. Who's using this in the 20th century, man? Come on, Tranquillo. And look how thin that guitar is, man. I'm telling you, it's like 6 centimeters, man. It's like 5.5, man. It's crazy, man. That's like, you know what I mean? When first got that factory set up, man, that's what you're going to see, that Dead Sea Scroll label in there, man. If you're lucky enough to even see one of those guitars. Very rare, man. Very rare. Very, very rare, man. And this is his second big boy label, man. This is when he's big time, you know what I mean? He's talking about his factory. This is where they sort of got the number system out to the public, man. You know what I mean? They would say number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. That's what we're talking about right here. This one you can't really see nothing, man. You know what I mean? This is when he's a big time, man. You see a label like this, man? Tranquillo is not alone, man. You want to talk to Tranquillo? Talk to me first, man. Tranquillo big time, man. He's too big for you. You small time. Tranquillo big time. You talk to me first. And before you talk to me, you talk to Tony. Before you talk to Tony, you talk to Paulie. We're big time, man. We industrial, man. So this is his first big boy label, man. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, real raggedy looking one. This is when he's like professional. And then we get into like, you know what I mean? So these had numbers on them, man. We could tell what kind of guitar it was. And we get into like 1922, he won like a gold medal in Rio de Janeiro. So he made a label to celebrate that. The round label era, man. He says, Medaglia de Oro, a gold medal, Rio de Janeiro, 2022, man. 1922. 2000, man. I'm 100 years behind the times, bro. Ahead of the times, man. The future, bro. Anyway, man. So that's where things get confusing. Because in like the 20s and 30s, when they started using this label, shortly after he won his little gold medal, you know what I'm saying? We don't know. All the guitars have the same label. It doesn't say what number it is. So he's going backwards, man. He's confusing his public. You know what I mean? He's got an amateur looking label. Looks like, you know what I mean, he made his label. A child made his label, man. So when his friends like, hey, Tranquillo, man. You gotta restyle your label, man. This label this is Bush League, yo. Let's change it up, guy. So they changed it up. This is the second one. This one rolls out through the 30s. You know, it's like you know what I mean? It's like you got a nicer sort of, you know what I'm saying? This is like, you know, the age of Metropolis. Let me zoom in a little bit, man. You know what I'm saying, man? So this is like, you know what I mean? This is streamlined. This label lasted throughout the 30s, probably to like the 40s down. You know what I'm saying? Now, I told you the Turuna line was big, man. The Turuna line, man. It was no joke, man. It was not to be kidded around with, man. They got their own straight label, man. You know, this is for the number one. There was one, separate one for number four. But Tranquillo, he made his own little maker label secondary one, man. I got to show the women who the boss. Now this is no coincidence. This came out right in the beginning of the 1940s, around the beginning of the Second World War. Now I'm not really too clear on Brazil's involvement in the Second World War. I don't know if all the guys went out and didn't really do much or went out to fight. I'm not really sure, man. Sorry I didn't research all the history. I hope they were in the Allied team. Sure they were, man. Anyway, man, back at home front, the Turuna line was still going strong, man. They had their own label. Tranquillo made his own little secondary label just to show the lady who's boss, man. You know what I'm saying, man? They keep them. Now, this is a mint condition, from that era. You know what I'm saying? From like the 40s, man. That label lasted till around about 1950. You can see it's still got a small rosette. Look, it's beautiful. There's been no, interaction with that. The rosewood is still nice in the dark. It's still a nice dark from deep in the rain of Paris. So this is a very rare find, man. You see a guitar like that, man. It's got a real thick body, too. That's definitely like a 9 centimeter. Up and down, man. Up and down. So by 1950, here's the next label that came out. This is from a Turuna one. They had their own little sort of, there's a generic label for everything. And they had their own little stickers that they put in the middle of the different models. This is from a number one. This is from the number 4 that we talk about right now. Now, this must be from like because we saw in the 54 catalog, they don't have the shark's teeth yet, man. So, and it doesn't have the perfing yet either. And it had the perfing by 1960. It's still like the old style. So this is probably like 1957, 1958. So it's got no perfing. Now here's one from like 1959, 1960, where it's already got the perfing. So got this, and it's got the new insert label. So you know what I'm saying, man. So that's where it's at. This is like, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? One of the most widely used labels, you know what I mean, during the 50s. 1964, another war hit, man. A global war. This was the guitar war, man. She loves you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Every single corner of the earth that was able to produce guitars was tapped out, man. We need your guitars. Send them to the United States. We need them. We have a war going on. So my man Tranquillo, he went out and got a new label, man. This is his new label. This label lasted from 1964 to like 1972, man. This is from Turuna, numero 4, from 1965. Now, he did a lot of exporting. Like I said, man, there was an export label. Some of this actually went to like clients. Now these, labels he printed had like the impact font, the export label, This is also in country, you know what I mean? Sometimes, if you know what I mean, trying to sell their exportability. Well, one of the most important export labels, see, this also got that, you know what I mean? See, it's got that G, as in money, as in Green Bay. But let me talk to you about this one right here, because this is an important label I want to talk to you about. Specifically because of the USA, man. You know what I'm saying? This was the export label made specifically for the Merson Musical Products Group in Westbury, New fucking York. West fucking Berry, New York. Now, Merson, let me talk to you a little tiny bit about Merson, man. It's founded by a guy named Bernie Mirsky, right, in the late 1940s. Their house brand was Tempo. They distributed, pretty much any guitar they could get on the cheap, man. Didn't really matter what country it came from as long as they get a deal on it. So what I think happened, man, they got a huge order to my man Giannini. He made all kinds of nice little labels, but oh shit, man, we don't have enough label. We don't have enough time. So whatever guitars were sitting around the warehouse, you know what I mean? Because they also, distributors had their own kind of numbering system, man. They weren't talking about, yes, I want 45 Turunas. You know what I mean? They had, their label number was S1. And student, and the 1 stood for number 1. You know what I mean? Easy, right? So we're like, shit, man, we got all this order. So I just to rip off this fucking label right here. You know what I'm saying, man? And now this S1, I stamp on the S1. We forget all about the Turuna. You're no longer a Turuna. You're not a family. You belong to America now, man. You're an import, man. So, Westbury, 1965. You know what I mean? It's a huge order, man. Giannini had like the power, he had the women, and now got the money. So let's talk about this photograph right here, man. This photograph, these two scraggly gentlemen, you know what I mean? Let's talk about who they are. This, Robert Plant. This, Jimmy Page. This is Led Zeppelin. This is like a picture of Moses on the Temple Mount, people. It's a holy time for Led Zeppelin. 1971, 1972. Every time they played a song called Tangerine, right? This gentleman will come on stage with a strange looking instrument and play it. The 12-string instrument, right? And people are like, what is that gorgeous instrument? This was good for my man Giannini, man, because this happens to be a Giannini Craviola. 12-string Craviola, man. In 1969, Professor Nogueira, who's a renowned professor of music in Brazil, he came up with this 12-string, 6-string. He, you know what I mean? He perfected it, man. You know what I'm saying? It's an ergonomic sort of new wave thing. Jimmy Page got one, man. He only played it for, a couple years, but he played it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, came there off their base, man. You know what I'm saying? Giannini has survived to this day making these guitars, man. True story, man. My man Jimmy Page was down there doing like a special benefit, 2009 in Rio, right? And they stalked him out, and they're like, we bring him at the 6-string, because we have the 6 too, and nobody buy the 6, they only buy this. So they presented the 6-string to him. Oh, Mr. Page, we have a gift from the bottom of our heart to you, my friend. And he looked at it and said, oh, that's very nice. I wasn't even aware the Craviola was made here in Brazil. Very nice. Oh, yeah, the factory's here. Why would you bring me a 6-string? Jimmy Page plays a 12-string, so let me have this. I'll keep the 6-string, go back to the factory, and get me a brand new 12-string, if you would. Thank you. And they did, man. They should get down on their knees and thank this gentleman every day. Thank you, Jimmy Page. You're wonderful. We love you. We love you, Jimmy. Giannini loves you. You made us a lot of fucking money, boy. A lot of money. Yes, sir. So, we see this label pop up in 1973. That's because they had to streamline, man. They had to get rid of all those little, those little folk instruments, all the 9 strings, all the 12 strings, 16 strings, 47 strings, all the weird stuff that nobody, you know what I mean? They were going to make a couple folk guitars and 50 million Craviolas, man. So this was a label you pretty much see in 1973. 1973 catalog, there's no mention of Turuna, nothing. I did find like a weird listing online one time, and it had this label in it. It looks like a custom-made label, and it's from 1976 supposedly. It was a Turuna Numero 4, man. It was the last production one I ever saw, man. It had headstock look like this, man, but it was the last of the last. So, I mean, a couple of them might have labels that look like this, but you never know, man. So, I'm going to take a little break and take a sip of water. I'll come right back at you. Hang on one second here. I want to talk to you about guitar terminology, because I know that a lot of people throw a lot of terms out at you all the time about, oh, this guitar is such and such, this. And sometimes, like I was talking in the intro video there, you know what I mean? I think people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So let's talk about a couple things. Now, if you already know this stuff, that's great, man. But if you don't, you know what I mean? And you don't have to admit that you learned it here, man. Let's just go over a couple things, man. Now, this is Pablito. You remember Pablito? Good. Okay. So if you don't, this is a video I made about a little tiny guitar. I made all kinds of videos. I'm going to go over all the, you know what I mean? All the little things that kind of irk me during this lesson. So here's some notes I want you to take. First thing I want to talk about is radius, man. People always talk about radius, man. What the fuck is radius? You know what I mean? What is a radius? All right, I'll tell you what a radius is, man. Radius is like the curvature of the fretboard, man. This is generally a term used with like electric guitars, man. You know what I mean? Acoustic guitars, steel string acoustic guitars, have like a slight radius also. Now, radius ranges, between, say, 7 and 16. The lower the number, the more curved the fretboard, right? Now, there can be a straight radius, which got the same curve going all the way up and down, or there can be a compound radius, which has kind of like a slight curve here and like a sort of like a serious curve up here. Like it starts off, say, like at a 12 up here and goes to 8, something like that, man. I mean, the two major radiuses used on electric guitars, Fender has a big one. They got like a 725. And I think that Gibson actually has a 12. And I believe Martin has like a 16 on most of their acoustics. But traditionally, you know what I mean, classical guitars don't have any radius. The neck, the fretboard is totally flat. flat, not curved, no radius. That's what a radius is. What's another word that's always thrown around, man? Scale. What the fuck is scale? What are people talking about scale? Scale is the length between the nut and the bridge. All that free space, folks. Now, the 12th fret should be right in the middle of it, man. And that's, you know what I mean, it has to do with, you know, the intonation, you know what I mean? It has to do with, you know what I mean, the basic science and math of a guitar. Now, people are always saying, well, you know what I mean, it's a 3/4 guitar. It's, you know what I mean, that's sort of like a size term. But scale is more like a mathematic science term. You know what I mean? There is no science between like a 3/4 guitar, right? That's just a bullshit sort of marketing term. But a scale is like a scientific, you know what I mean, Lutheristic term. So let's talk about scale, short scale, long scale. You know what I mean? That's another thing people always talk about. Since we've been friends, this is the shortest scale guitar that we've talked about. Pablito had like a real weird scale. Now, scale is measured usually in millimeters on classical guitars. And like, you know what I mean, electric guitars, steel string guitars, usually in inches. But now it's sort of interchangeable because like the world's, you know what I mean, a coronavirus, you know what I mean, cocktail. So let's basically, you know, talk about, you know, both terms here. This is 540 millimeters, you know what I mean, length of the scale between these 2 points, right? That's about 21.25, 21 1/4 inches on little Pablito. But the weird thing is he's got a 50 millimeter nut. Now, nuts usually are like 42, 43 millimeters only. They range between, like, in America, man, 1 5/8 and 1 3/4. You know what I mean? That's like everything's like, you know what I mean? This got a 51. Look at this. This is the biggest guitar we ever messed with the biggest scale that we've ever messed with. And it's got a 50, you know what I mean, millimeter nut. So this, you know what I mean, sort of makes it a cool, cultural, weird kind of oddity kind of thing. This is the model off this for a mariachi band guy. And they had the guitar from the mariachi called the guitarra de golpe. It's like a hitting guitar, man. It's sort of like right above the bass in the spectrum of the mariachi music, man. You remember Pablito? He's got all those scallops in there. He's hitting it, golpeándolo. He's hitting that motherfucker, guitarra de golpe. So this is kind of a 6-string based off the guitarra de golpe. And that's why he's got such a little scale. But let's get into like the regular scale stuff. This got the 42, you know what I mean, millimeter like we talked about, you know, in the video with Cousin Carl here. This is an old English guitar. Not many frets, you know, real primeval, old fucking guitar, right? And this guitar has got a 600 millimeter scale, man. And that's a total of 23.6 inch scale. You know what I'm saying? You might say, wow, that's a little guitar, man. You know what I mean? They really don't make them like, you know, many like that, man. Wow, you must have little fingers. Well, you know what I mean? That's kind of like student scale, man. That's like smaller than what we're dealing with right now with our gran tamaño or our big Turuna numero 4, number 4, right? But it's also the same exact scale as this guitar, man. Yes, folks. The 1448 had a 600 millimeter scale, 23.6 inches. You know what I'm saying? In fact, Sears had Dan Electro manufacture all 60s one pickup, you know what I mean, electric guitars with that 600 scale. This U1, the last U series that Dan Electro ever made. The Wish Book, you know what I mean, probably it was at 61, U1, right? It has an exact 600 scale. Now you have a U1 from like back in like, you know what I'm saying, like the late 50s. It's got the pickup up here. It's got this 25 scale. Look how small that the neck is. Look, this has got 21 frets here, right? You know what I'm saying? Look how small that is. So this is also a 600 scale, and that's again 23.6 inches. Now look at this. You remember George Harrison from the Beatles? His first guitar? That happens to be also 600 millimeters. Also 23.6 inch scale. That's from Holland. From Amsterdam, people. And then, you know what I mean? We remember this guitar in the history of guitars? This guitar I was talking about is a Martin copy. This is like an oddball. You know what I mean? It's got one of those sizes you don't really see that much. This is 605 millimeters. Weird size. And that's a, you know, roughly, you know, 23 3/4, 23.75. Now, I said it was a Martin copy, but Martin actually used like a bigger scale than most of the little parlor guitars back in the 19th century. Martin scale was between 24 and 25 inches, right? And, you know what I mean?
generally, that's 610 to 635 roundabout, you know what I mean, in the head. But generally, I mean, most of them were 24 and 7/8, you know what I mean, 24 and a half scale for the Martins, for the real Martins in the 19th century. But, you know what I mean, this was like, you know what I mean, more for the señoritas y la menores and the little people. So here we leaves us. So this is kind of a weird scale guitar, you know what I mean? I got a lot of guitars, and this is probably one of the only guitars I actually have in the 24-inch scale, man. 24 straight scale. That's 610 millimeters, man. So that's where we fall, man. It's not the smallest. It's kind of like, you know what I mean, halfway down the stairs in terms of, like, you know what I mean, the guitars that since we've been friends that we've been talking about, man. So, you know, it's not that small, man. It is tamaño kind of grande for, like, the chicas. Now, the next one up, you know what I mean, in the rotation that we're talking about here, another 5 millimeters up, you know what I'm saying, is 615 millimeters. That's 24 and a quarter. This is the H929, you know, out of Chi-Town, sucker, right? And that's like a real cool scale, you know what I mean? And coincidentally, it's the exact same scale as the Juana Struch from Barcelona that Johnny Rock tickled back in the history of guitars, man. True, they both have a 24 and a quarter scale. That's 615 millimeters, man. True. Yeah, Gretsch Clipper, you know what I'm saying? This is the cheap Gretsch, the low-end Gretsch. This has a 24 and a half scale. You know what I'm saying? That's the scale of this particular guitar. Now, most Gretsch guitars actually had a 24.6 inch scale. You know, this is only 623 millimeters. Most were 625 even, except for like the Falcons and like the clubs and like the Tennesseans. They had 25.5. The big guys, you know, long scale. Now people talk about, you know, what's a long scale, what's a short scale guitar. You know what I mean? The divisive number is 25, people. Anything up to 25 and below, including number 25, you know what I mean? That is actually technically a short scale guitar by nomenclature, folks. Anything over 25 is 25.2, 25.3, that's a long scale guitar. Not too many long scale guitars. There's only one famous scale, maybe the most famous scale in the world, that's really long scale, that's in use. And we'll get to that. So, the Gretsch scale, you know what I mean? This is a 24.5. That's also the anniversary models use that same scale. The Clipper used that scale. The Gretsch scale is 24.6. This is also a 24.6. Mirkur, he was using a 24.6. We also showed you another guitar that was also the 24.6 scale, and that was this one, man, the German one from 1885 that Ricky T tickled on. You know what I'm saying, man? The exact same. They actually kind of look like the same guitar. Maybe, you know what I mean, there's like a 20, 30 year gap. Maybe one of the dudes that was making these guitars emigrated to Germany, man, and gave me secrets, man. Secret scale, man. Very similar, man. Freaky deaky, bruh. Move on to one of the most famous scales in the world. This is technically, folks, a short scale guitar. 24 and 3/4, 24.75, 628 millimeters. The Gibson scale, folks. You know what I'm saying? The Gibsons that we made together, the Explorer, right? The little Junior that we just put together. You know what I mean? They all had that 24 and 3/4 scale, man. Very famous scale, man. It's an extremely popular scale because it's the Gibson scale, man. And the Rickenbacker that I showed you, man, the 610, it's also got that scale, man. 24 and 75. Most Rickenbackers use this scale. The production ones, you know, over the 330s, the 400 series, the 600 series. Most of them use that scale, that Gibson scale. But you know what I mean? Rickenbackers, you know what I mean? You know, they're bread and butter. You know what I'm saying? They're craviola, so to speak. This guy, remember me? Remember me, John Lennon? Remember me? Listen to this scale, man. This is only 528 millimeters, man. That's a 20.75 scale, man. That's a little tiny guitar. Johnny, your hands are so small. Johnny, what happened? Johnny, why is your guitar like a child's guitar, Johnny? Why? Tell me. John, I love you. I miss you. I wish you were here, Johnny. Very small guitar, though, John Lennon. Very, very small guitar. 20.75. Play a Rickenbacker Capri 325 if you have the opportunity, man. It's like a little tiny guitar. It's like a half-size guitar, man.
Brings us up to number 25, man. 25-inch scale. This is a great scale. We're going to talk about this scale in depth in a second or two. This was the Dan Electro scale, man. You know what I'm saying? Jimi Hendrix. You know what I mean? Jimmy Page. You know what I'm saying? They all cut their teeth on the old Dan Electro scale. A 25, 635, man. 635 millimeters. That's like a magic scale. It's like right between Gibson and Fender, man. Right between Gibson and Fender. It's like, you know what I mean? The last stop before Big Boy's Town. You know what I mean? This is the last short scale guitar. Anything bigger than this is the big boy. So let's talk a little bit about the big boys, man. Well, that's not the big boy, man. This is also a 25. This is a 25. It's my hometown in Freehold. I played a 25. Everybody thought I was a big boy. But I was in Ireland during the coronavirus. I was hiding out. I can't be in Jersey, man. Boss man's first guitar, man. 25, man. Let's talk big scale, man. Big boys. Big boys of the block. 25.5, that's large scale, people. Fender Stratocaster. All the Fenders that we've done, man. The Jazzmaster. Telecaster. The Mary Kay. Every single one of them is 25.5. It's a log scale guitar, man. Now, basically, there isn't really, you know what I mean, too many guitars, you know what I mean, that are log scale guitars, other than that 25.5, that's 648 millimeters. It doesn't really get too much bigger than that on 6 strings. So that's what we're talking about here, folks. 6 fucking strings. So that's the end of the line, really, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to 6 strings. You know what I mean? The only guitar that we've talked about, you know what I mean, that's actually bigger than that. Actually, this one right here. This is also a 25.5 Johnny Rock's ES Pier. You know, that's 25.5. Johnny Rock plays with the big boys. The Kramer that we were just talking about, that's 25.5. However, remember last week I was hollering at y'all. I was saying to you how I believe the Kramer from 82 was a totally different Kramer than the original Kramer, Dr. Ripatillo's Kramer. And this bolsters my thing originally. This is you know, the wooden neck guitar when they started, you know, their SOS. You know what I'm saying? Look at me, Ma, please. This is 25.5. But Dr. Patillo, you know what I mean? His guitar. Why am I so big, man? What did I get so big for? I grew up too big, man. I learned, man. This is a 25-inch guitar, man. 25-inch scale. That's the Dan Electro scale, man. Now, I told you that Dr. Patillo, I told you that he was a consultant back in the late days of Dan Electro in the MCA era. You know, maybe he learned that scale there. Look at these little tiny, you know, fret markers, man. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very similar to the Dan Electro neck even. You know what I mean? Not saying it, but in looks and scale, you know what I'm saying? It's totally not a competition. Look at those little fret markers. Now, this is probably the great Jimmy Page's favorite guitar, man. You know what I mean? Because he always has this guitar, man. Out of all the guitars that he's played throughout his career, you know what I mean? This is one of the only guitars, you know what I mean, that he still busts out, you know what I mean, from his heyday, man. He always has a tune to, I think he's got a tune to like Dadgad, right? He's got his tune to Dadgad. And every time you see his motherfucker bust out this guitar, you know what I mean, you know he's going to play Cashmere, right? And here he is, you know, so you see the strap on Dan Electro, he's like, oh, this is a song. You know what he's about to start playing. So it sounds like this. It goes, da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. And I'll play Cashmere all day long. I'm telling you, man. And that's that 25. That's that 25-inch scale, people. And that's the Dr. Patillo was using on the original Kramers. You know what I'm saying? And a weird kind of coincidence to this. You know what I mean? I talked about Jimi Hendrix cutting his teeth on that scale. You know, this is a coincidence that could blow your mind, man. Look at that, man. Look who's using on the Shark, man. That's his first little Frankie, man. You know what I'm saying? Look what he's got on there. He's got the same neck, man. He's got a 25. He's got the same 21 fret 25. Dan Electro scale, man. Imagine if Berardi had given Eddie, you know, the aluminum neck. What the fuck would have happened, man? It'd be a different world, man. I just don't know what the hell would go. It would be just insanity, people. Insanity. This guy's 25.5, right? That's also the Fender scale. A big boy also has the 50 millimeter, man. And then, of course, the biggest guitar that we've talked about, my cousin's broken-hearted hillbilly Yamaha, man. And he's got a 25.6 scale. That's 650 big old millimeters of Chinese picking and grinning on a big, flat old fretboard. Class, you've been wonderful. Thank you for listening. Let's go to the operation room. Put around your notebooks. It's time to get hands-on, folks. God bless you. Peace be with you. Wash your hands as you leave the classroom.
This is Dr. Stubenheimer. The first thing we do is make some notes about the condition of the body before we make of the incisions. Now, I was telling you it was made of the finest Brazilian rosewood from deep inside the rainforest. And I mean, the actual catalog listing made for the Brazilian people proudly boasts that it's made from the finest jacaranda rosewood from the Bahia province. Now, the Bahia province stretches along the coast of northern Brazil, and at the time it was like, a lush rainforest. Now it's sort of like an industrial province. But also, the ad mentions the rosette is made of the finest pearloid and black triangle inserts. So, you know what I mean? These look green. I thought it was like a green guitar when I first got it, man. That was sort of part of the cool allure of it, you know what I'm saying? But I found that it said it was made of a clear finish, clear natural finish. So it's really the oil escaping from the jacaranda, the greasy rainforest rosewood, man. Jacaranda rainforest rosewood from deep in the rainforest. It had like a reaction, like a chemical reaction, man. And you saw in the catalog how it was brown, you know what I mean? And most of these guitars nowadays are green, man. Green like the poop. Green like the poop. The bad reaction in the bowel. Now, if you're going down to Brazil, you're going to want to check out Mercado Libre. You can buy an old Giannini for like $20, man. You know what I'm saying? $40. You get one from the 20s, $50, something like that. It's like Harmony. You know what I mean? It's like the Brazilian Harmony. So let's talk a little bit about Merson real quick, man. I was telling you about that S1. Now, apparently statement in S1 wasn't good enough for Merson, so they also sort of branded it. They gave it like an engraving on there, man. Stamped that shit in there, S1. So we know you're not a Turuna. You are now an S1. You forget about your Turuna past. From deep in the rainforest. Now, the Tempo company, Merson, you might remember in the 70s a brand called Univox, man. They were doing all those effects and pedals and the Rickenbacker copies and the Fender copies, some Gibson copies. That was Merson, man. They actually split in half because Univox was such a big part of it. Araya, I think, the Araya factory in Japan was making them, man. Univox Merson, man. So it's all sort of, man, we're all holding hands in this history of the guitars, people, man. So cool beans, man. My mom, her first guitar actually was a Tempo, man. It was a cheap Japanese guitar I restored a couple years ago. Tempo, man. It was like a sticker on the headstock, man. Like it said Japan on the back. Wasn't a bad guitar, man. I totally destroyed it when I was 12, 13. Happy I could restore it. So, the nitros obviously, you know what I mean, reacted in that hot, you know what I mean, tropical sort of environment on these elements or over the years, who knows. Let's talk about the action, man. We got to start working on this, getting this bridge down a little bit, get the strings off. Now, with the action, you're going to want to get one of these, man. It's like a luthier action gauge, man. Don't just rely on your own sort of judgment. Get one of these. If you place an order with Philadelphia Luthier Supplies, this is not a plug, folks. I'm just telling you. They'll send you like a business card. You can cut it out, man. You cut like they have them on the internet, man. But look, this is some serious high action we're working with here, man. It's like embarrassing high action up there, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's get the strings off. Let's start working on the working on the real works, man. See you in a minute. People. Now, take a look at that greasy jacaranda rosewood just coming through where the cowboy court area, man. And up here where the finish is unfettered with, it's all, you know what I'm saying? See, that's the original. Look at it. You can see the oil is coming to the surface still, man. For 1,000 years, that's like USS Arizona, man. Now, as soon as I was getting those strings off, I remembered exactly why I didn't attempt working on this guitar when I first acquired it a couple years back. The tuners have been replaced with some like more modern ones, a little bit bigger ferrules, and getting in here, it's like, oh, it's like, you know what I mean? Even working it, stringing it in there, it's like, oh my god, I can't, it's so tight, man. I like to save the strings, man, because I'm, you know what I mean, cheap guy, you know what I'm saying, man? Strings have memories of the songs played on them. How could you just toss them away when they're not broken? So anyway, man, I got strings off there, complaining at you about it. You know what I'm saying? I got better things I can complain about. Life's okay, I guess. So, luckily, this is one of those things I don't have to complain about. It wasn't glued in, came right out. Looks like it's been feathered with, man. You know, so you can see on the top there, there's a couple different places where the strings have rusted over the past, you know, more than half a century. So, if it came out of the factory like this, shame on you, Giannini. But if it did, and it is unfettered with, or has been fettered with, we have to figure out how, you know what I mean, get this thing looking better. So, I was thinking of grinding it down from the top, grinding it down from the bottom, shaping it, doing all kinds of things, cutting little grooves in it. And I thought to myself, why don't I just put a piece of binding? So I went in the drawer and I got some binding. This actually I got, especially from Dr. Pepper, man. Back in the day, man. And I stuck it in the slot there. It was like perfect, man. Nice and perfect. But, you know what I mean? It was still high, man. Because if you take a look, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's still going to be some grinding to do. Because in reality, you know what I mean? This thing is just about as thick, you know what I mean, as the bridge saddle that was on there. So this thing's even got to be ground down. That's work, man. It's about the same amount of work. I pulled this thing tight, the E string, and I sat it in the nut there, and I sort of simulated the tension, and I saw that it was like perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's like nice low. Look at that real low action down there, man. You know what I'm saying? So like just a little tiny lift. It actually plays like free. Like, oh yeah, yeah. So just a little tiny lift, man. We'd be in the perfect action range, man. You know what I mean? But it can't be, you know, too thick. You know, we don't have to do too much work. So I went into the binding thing again, man. And I had this old, this is 5mm. They call it violin binding. Neck binding in the guitar world, man. And I stuck it in mommy's coin slot. And it fit in there like a glove, you know. It's the same exact width as the other one, but it, I can't see the table, mommy. I can't see what's going on. Get the booster seat. I can't see. It's too small, man. It's even like a little, you know what I'm saying? It's like falls down into the thing, man. He just needs a booster seat. So I was like, not to despair, man. I took a old round toothpick. You know, I ate some celery and some popcorn, so I didn't waste it. You know, no, I'm just kidding. It's a virgin toothpick, man. Never been teethed. Stuck it in the slot, right? Took that little tiny banding. I banded in there, man. How you doing? You doing banding? I'm banding okay. Mind your own business. I pull it over, man. Get down there, varmint. Listen to what I say. With some tension, man, that'll be absolutely perfect. So, that's all the work I gotta do, people. String it back up. I'll see you at the glamour shots, man. Peace be with you. Wash your hands. Wash them good. Both sides. What a gorgeous instrument, man. What like a just beautiful piece of art, man. You know what I mean? Look at the rosewood.
in the guitar on the side, man. Look at that. How dark that is. I didn't just do the bridge, man. I cleaned all that shit off, all that terrible cloudy finish off that jacaranda rosewood from deep in the Zoranda forest. Just on these top frets, man. Put some mother's wax on the body, butcher's wax on the fretboard, man. Oh, look at that bone nut, man. Look at that. Still in a great shape, man. Still quality, you know what I mean, stuff they use, man. Mi Turuna. It's a girl's product, man. You know, I was really digging that Mary Kay a couple months ago, man. I was like obsessed with it, man. I think that this Turuna should represent the men's movement, man. The men's movement, man. Men should be free to use whatever products they want, man. Listen, women are all beautiful and they smell good and they never get old and we're all dirty and we smell bad and we're falling apart, man. But if we used all their shit, man, took all care of ourselves with the kind of creams and craps they got, man. I seen stuff, some of the stuff my wife's got. You know, she looks like she's 19, man. She's younger and you know what I mean? You know, I feel like, you know what I'm saying, a crossing guard. You know what I mean? I'm just like falling apart, man. You know, it's the Turuna movement, people. You know what I'm saying? Last summer, okay, I was at a picnic with my hard-drinking Irish uncle, straight, you know, out of Ireland. We were drinking some Heinekens, you know what I mean? And then we were like 4 or 5 deep, you know what I'm saying? I went to the cooler, I seen some like strawberry watermelon splash, man, some wine cooler shit, man. I was like, what the fuck, man? I threw that shit down, man. My uncle's like, oh, you need to light the pants there, Bobby boy. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? After 4 or 5, you know, I was flying high, man. My thirst was quenched. You know, I seen them all fucking like cotton mouth and shit throwing down them nasty dry ass Heinekens, man. And I was like, you know what I mean? You're jealous, aren't you, Uncle Jerry? You're jealous, man. I love you, but you know what I mean? Join the Turunas, my man. Basemark used to fucking wear secret in college, man. He always smelled like a rose, man. It was a secret, man. You know what I mean? He wasn't embarrassed. Didn't hide it. He'll admit it. You know what I mean? Fuck that noise, man. Be who you are, man. The Turuna movement. Dig it, man. Let's listen to this guitar, man. You know, support the men's movement. We shall go to the moon and do some other things. Turuna. Essa one. Known in Brazil as the Turuna numero 4. Made from the greasiest wood there ever was. Better times, people. Here she comes, oh, just like an angel. Seems like forever now she's been on my mind. Nothing has changed. Thinks I'm a waste of her time. There she goes, oh, but she's missing. I'm ever thinking of give up a fight. Do all I can. She understands my desire. I've been on the outside looking. Let me into your heart. Oh, there's nothing under that can keep us apart. Baby, I can't live without your love and affection. I can't take another night on my own. I give up my pride to save me from being alone. I can't live without your love. All of the world is a treasure when you've got someone to care. Promise me your love forever. We'll have the whole world to share. It's a young world, you're in love, and it's a young world if we're loving a I told you, let me hold you. words, but I love that song so much. Rest in peace, Ricky Nelson, Ozzy and Harry. Matthew and Gunnar, wash your hands, brothers. Love everybody. Peace be with you. Until the next time, if there is a next time. Peace.